This entire summer has been a damage control tour for Netanyahu, who's gone on plenty of American and Canadian podcasts trying to get the message out that he's not the villain. And in one of his latest interviews with the Nelk Boys, he even got a script from the White House of questions to ask Netanyahu. This time he goes on Patrick Bet-David show for a 45-minute segment. I will say Patrick gave more objective questions than the Nelk Boys and Constant Kissatine, but he gave absolutely zero pushback to Netanyahu's responses. He didn't push back on AIPAC, the genocide currently happening, and how our entire foreign policy is manipulated by a secular foreign country. So it's clear that PBD was trying to play the neutral side here like he usually does, but this is something that's hard to be neutral about and not take a side when you're interviewing an international war criminal who's wanted by the ICC in 130 countries, which Netanyahu also downplays. One of the biggest revealing things here from Netanyahu is that he said Joe Biden would not go as far as Donald Trump when it comes to supplying Israel weapons for their fighting against Iran and its proxies, and even said Biden threatened them with an embargo if they chose to invade Rafah. Not to give the abysmal Biden administration any credit, but it definitely shows how much of a Zionist president Donald Trump is. Patrick Bet-David hints to Netanyahu that there's a big part of America that thinks Israel controls our foreign policy and manipulates everything that we do, and literally from just picking up the phone in Tel Aviv can make a call to America to fulfill any of their demands. Netanyahu again denies this and says, well, Donald Trump makes his own decisions, he's his own man, have you seen him? And implies that the current situation and relationship in which they're receiving money is well established and organized. Nothing for him to worry about. So I'm not surprised at all here. I thought Patrick Bet-David would do exactly what he did in this interview. He offered his platform for a neutral conversation with Netanyahu, which Netanyahu only took for damage control, and I guarantee he gave Patrick a list of questions to even confirm the interview. And while I respect PBD as a businessman, I think he has some good takes. I think his number one incentive here was to get the AdSense money over everything. It wasn't about telling the truth, it wasn't about making himself look a certain way. He, just like everybody else, would expect massive eyeballs from an interview with an international war criminal who leveled out Gaza and even said that it would be okay if the United States claimed Gaza as a property, and that's their decision to make. Well, hold on here. Who controls our foreign policy? Israel obviously does. So if it's our decision to take control of Gaza and make it U.S. controlled, who is going to tell us to do that? Israel is. And he basically admits that here. In all reality, nothing can save Netanyahu's image and really the state of Israel at this point. Everything they're doing, from their actions in Gaza to controlling our country with anti-Semitic bills regulating free speech. The Israeli cybersecurity official that literally fled after being busted in a sex sting operation by the FBI last week, possibly making it illegal to burn the Israeli flag in America. And on top of that, they're even discussing giving IDF soldiers American benefits. It's blatantly clear our country is occupied. Netanyahu can try to go on these podcasts and score these big interviews, try to save his reputation, and make Israel look like it's not a terrorist state. It's not going to work, and it's arguably going to backfire on anyone who hosts him. So I guarantee if you look at the comment section in Patrick Bet-David's YouTube, it's probably got more dislikes than likes, and I guarantee the comment section is flooded with people saying this is Israeli propaganda, Patrick bought David, as some people say. All this is going to do is reveal who controls our country even more, where the power structure really lies, and this is something all Christians and Catholics need to wake up and acknowledge.
For you, would the war and the Hamas attack have happened if President Trump was president instead of Biden?
I don't know. It's a good question, but you said something about Biden that I should just point out the facts. In fact, President Biden supported us in the beginning of the war after this horrific massacre, and he came here, and I very much appreciate it. But as the war progressed and the vilifications of Israel, the distortions on the media began to pile on, he began to take a different course. And when we were just 2/3 of the way, 3/4 of the way in Gaza, I said we have to go into that last position that they had, where they had organized battalions. It's in a city called Rafah, in the southern part of the Gaza Strip. And he said, don't go there. And he said, if you do go there, I'll smack an embargo on you. Now, you're fighting a 7-front war, and all of a sudden you're slapped with an embargo of weapons. That was tough. And I said to President Biden, who I've known for many years, I respect the fact you're the president of the United States, but I'm the prime minister of the one and only Jewish state, and we've been fighting to survive in our small place under the sun. It's been a battle that has been going on for 3,500 years.
So he tells Biden, I respect your decision as president of the United States to make that choice. Netanyahu says, but I'm the president of the only Jewish state in the world.
And he said, the president is serious about this embargo. And I said, Tony, I know it's serious because you stopped all the weapons. You slow walked them before, but now you've stopped them. And then I said to him this. He said, well, how are you going to do it then? I said, Tony, we'll fight with our fingernails if we have to. But we're not going to leave. It's like the Allies would leave a quarter of the German battalions in place and not go into Berlin. And I said, would you take that? Would you take that, Patrick? Of course you wouldn't. So we didn't take it either. We did it against the opposition of the American presidents. So much for Israel controlling the United States. We don't. But we do seek to control our destiny.
I want to show you this clip. This is a clip of you and the president. You guys are standing right next to each other, and you give a look that you almost didn't know he was going to say this. And this is just personally for myself. I'm curious, did you know the president was going to be saying this? Go ahead and play the clip, Rob.
As far as Gaza is concerned, we'll do what is necessary. If it's necessary, we'll do that. We're going to take over that piece, and we're going to develop it, create thousands and thousands of jobs, and it'll be something that the entire Middle East can be very proud of. But everybody feels that continuing the same process that's gone on forever, over and over again, and then it starts, and then the killing starts, and all of the other problems start, and you end up in the same place, and we don't want to see that happen. So by the United States, with its stability and strength, owning it, especially the strength that we're developing and developed over the last fairly short period of time, I would say really since the election, I think we'll be a keeper of something that is very, very strong, very powerful, and very, very good for the area, not just for Israel, for the entire Middle East. Very important. And we'll, again, have thousands of jobs.
Can you pause it? You gave a look where you weren't expecting the president to say that, as if it's going to be our land. Were you surprised by what the president said here?
No, actually I wasn't, but I can tell you that he said something else there. He said, and that surprised the world, and I thought, again, he cut to the chase. He said, why are Gazans locked in this area, which is just used as a base for attack against Israel for its destruction? That's what the de facto Palestinian state in Gaza was. It was a base for Israel's destruction. It has no other purpose. And it lived under this horrible tyranny, this terror tyranny of Hamas. So he said, why not give people a choice? I mean, in other war theaters, in Ukraine or in Syria or in Afghanistan, millions left if they wanted to. In Gaza, they're locked in. Nobody allows them to leave. And he says, give them a choice. If they want to leave, let them leave. And for those who stay, rebuild Gaza. I thought that was actually a very sensible thing. And it's not our goal now to depopulate Gaza and all these other nonsenses that people say. Our goal is to free Gaza, free it from Hamas. Free it from Hamas tyranny and terror. And we now have Gazans. I'll bet you don't know this, Patrick. We now have Gazans fighting Hamas. And they say, thank God you're here. They didn't dare do that until the final stages of this war, which we're in now, because they know that they won't be slaughtered. So they fight. They actually fight Hamas. They fight these monsters. They call them monsters. And they're joining up with Israel. And I think that's a sign of hope, because we can have, once we finish off Hamas, Gaza can have a different future. Israel and Gaza can have a different future. And as far as I'm concerned, if America wants to come in and invest, that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
So you would be okay if America takes over Gaza and it becomes something that we control. You'd be okay with that?
Yeah, but it's an American choice. I don't want to get into that.
But you would be okay with that. So even if America chooses,
look, I'd be okay with any governance that civilian governance in Gaza that doesn't teach its children to annihilate Israel, doesn't pay terrorists. That's what not the Hamas do only. It's what the Palestinian Authority, the other side of the Palestinian people does. They pay terrorists. The more Jews they kill, the more they pay them, and doesn't launch terrorists. There are several ideas how to do that. But I think that America's help here is indispensable.